Hello and welcome to Raleigh Baptist Church. If we've not met yet, my name's Ricky and I'm one of the ministers here at RBC. It's a little while since we've done one of these video updates, but I want to do three things in the update today. I want to share a little bit with you about what to expect as you regather, as you come back for a service here in the building at RBC. I want to talk a little bit about how God might be able to exceed our expectations as we regather. What might God be doing even in this season? And then I want to share the thoughts of someone who's been back for one of our pilot services and share with you their experiences of how they found it, what their fears were beforehand and what their experience was like, which I hope will be helpful for you today. So what should you expect as you come back to Raleigh Baptist Church, as we reopen the building and as we commence our in-person services? Well, the first thing that you need to know is that you will need to book online. Anybody who just turns up at the moment will not be able to enter because we need to manage the numbers. We have a limited capacity currently, and for the time in which we have a limited capacity, you will need to rebook each week. Bookings will be available from Sunday lunchtime to Friday lunchtime each week. We will have some priority places for those who will need to be here each week, those who can't engage any other way. We will send out those details. We'll make sure that you're fully aware of how to book, and we can deal with any issues that arise for you as you try to book. And then as you arrive on site, you will be greeted by a member of the welcome team, and then you'll be directed where to go. You may be the lucky one. If there's no queue, you will be directed straight into the foyer. If there are a few people waiting, you will be directed to the back of the queue. We would ask that you maintain social distancing in the queue, keep 2 meters apart from any other bubble or household. Just note that people who have mobility issues, who may need to be dropped off on the drive, they will be given priority. They will be seen to be jumping the queue, and that's exactly what they'll be doing. We will prioritise their entry, make sure they can get in safely and comfortably. When you are directed into the foyer, whether you've been queuing or whether you come straight in, you will be greeted by another member of the team, and they will check you in. They will ask you whether you have any COVID symptoms, and they will use your pre-booking information, and they will check you and your household into the service for that day. You need to know that those details, your contact details, can be passed on, will be passed on to track and trace if there are any issues. That's a legal requirement on us. And once you've checked in, you will be asked to sanitize your hands, which by now will be second nature to every one of us. And then you will be led to your pre-assigned seats. Now we will pre-assign the seats every week. We will set out the church slightly differently based on how many are coming, what different size family groups are joining us. So you will be taken by a further member of the team and led to your seat. So when you get inside the church, you will notice some big changes. The chairs are set out in household or bubble groups, and they're set out 2 meters apart from each other bubble or household, and that will be, as I say, according to the bookings that have been made that week. Once you've been seated, you will need to remain seated during the service, remain at your seat during the service. You need to keep your mask on at all times, unless you are exempt, in which case you should let us know through the booking system that you're exempt. Unfortunately, there is to be no engagement with other households or bubbles in your time here, except with the service team where that is appropriate and required. And currently, we're not permitted to sing in the services. There will be sung worship, but we will have to engage in other ways, which I'll talk about in a moment. And please note that despite the recent announcement on hugging from the government, you will need to keep 2 meters apart from those outside your household at all times. These are the current government guidelines that we need to stick to for services. We've not been instructed yet that hugging, handshaking or any other further contact is permitted as part of our services or on site. So please bear that in mind. The restrictions are still in place for us as a church currently. We will inform you when they're changed and when we're informed that they've changed. And we thank you for your understanding in that. We know that it's not easy. It seems to make little sense when there are different regulations elsewhere, but that's how we are at the moment. Now, after the service, you will need to remain seated until you are directed to leave by the stewarding team. By the time that we're regathering formally on Sunday mornings, we will be allowed to gather in a group of 30 outside. Please understand that the courtyard will only just take 30 people safely, depending on how the households are formed. But you will need to keep your distance from other households outside as well. You will be allowed to chat, to engage, but we would ask you to keep your distance, to avoid crowding. If you feel uncomfortable, if there is any crowding going on and you're uncomfortable, then please feel free to leave. But we will ask you to self-manage outside. We're not asking the stewards to manage outside the building. That's for you to be sensible and to stick to the rules as they are laid out. So things are going to be different for a while yet, likely even after the 21st of June. We will let you know when things change in terms of our risk assessments and our regulations. But please know that everything is under review. Every week we review what's going on. We will make changes accordingly, either due to issues that have arisen that we need to change or when there are changes to regulations. And we will do our best to keep you informed at every stage. But please understand that we will do everything that we can to minimise the risk to those attending and to those serving at our gatherings. And we want to make it as comfortable a place and as welcoming a place as we can. We want to reduce anybody's sense of anxiety as they come into this place as we start to regather. So let me just talk for a moment about God exceeding our expectations. As we've been explaining some of the likely restrictions as we've been preparing to regather, a number of people have said to us, why bother? Why would I bother coming back to the church building if I can't sing, if I can't chat to my friends, if I'm restricted in so many ways? Why would I come? I'm better off staying at home and engaging at home. And we do understand that returning to the building will not be right for everybody right now. And it's absolutely everybody's personal choice as to when they feel comfortable to come. But we've had people back in the building for a few pilot services now. And despite the restrictions, we've been surprised by the really positive responses that we've had, the positive reaction that people have had to our services in the building. And especially when we had our worship band return and lead us in live worship, it made such a huge difference to us. Now we might start from the position of why bother, and it's just going to be so limited and so dry and so restricted. But let me say that there absolutely can be a real richness, a new richness to our worship in this time. God may be teaching us a new thing in this season. We can't belt out the songs in the same way that we would if we were at home. We can't worship in the way that perhaps we would prefer. But we need to remember that worship is not primarily about music and singing. That worship is a matter of the heart. And we should come with an attitude of not thinking about what we can't do and bemoaning the fact that we can't do it, but thinking about what we can do within those restrictions. And last week we had hand clapping and hand raising and foot tapping and thigh slapping. We had bodies moving. We had a couple of people signing along with the songs and others just closing their eyes, absolutely lost in worship. We can stand. We can allow limited movement on the spot. So you can stand and worship if you would prefer to. but just make sure you don't wander. So we've gone very quickly from why bother to oh wow. People's reaction just last week was amazing, and we're looking forward to even more in the weeks to come. So please understand that God can exceed our expectations even in this time, even with these restrictions which will feel so foreign and so wrong to us. And let's not forget that God absolutely did that with our online services. If we had said 2 years ago that we were going to switch, we're going to stop all of our in-person services and go online, who would have imagined that we would have experienced the things that we have in this last year? Even when we were forced into it and we had no other option, we were all skeptical that how can we worship? How can we refer to this as gathering together? And yet we now know after a year that we can, and that there is a richness even to that. So let's not be surprised if God exceeds our expectations even in this season as well. And so I'd love you now to hear from someone in their own words, someone who wants to share about their experience as they returned to the building and as they regathered with other worshippers in person last Sunday. And this is someone who would not normally want to share in this way, who would not normally record a video and want to broadcast it. But they felt really strongly that this was the right thing to do. So let's have a listen to someone else's experience of what it was like to regather.
Hello, I just wanted to share my experience on thoughts about coming back to church. As I was a bit apprehensive, I have to say, and to be honest, being at home in the study, being able to get roast dinner ready for 1 o'clock, sharing online has quite suited me over the last year, more than I thought. And the thought of returning to church actually filled me with a bit of apprehension, and I wasn't even sure whether that's what I wanted to do. But then on Saturday I listened into Lou Fellingham's Coffee Morning, and she'd felt led to share about returning to church. Now, she's happy to go back. She's an extrovert and has missed the fellowship and all that entails, and is desperate to get back. But she acknowledges, and there are a lot of us, some of us, that for us it's not quite the same. We're happy being at home. We maybe are apprehensive about going back. Maybe we still have health concerns about being in large groups, or are just worried about being in large groups. And that's okay as well. We're all different, and God made us all different, and God does say we need to keep meeting together and not drop off, as some of those have been in the habit of doing. So whether it's in a few weeks' time or whether it's in 6 months' time, some might not return straight away, might not feel that that's what they want, but actually we need to come together eventually. We need to share with each other, and perhaps for those that are feeling scared, we need to come alongside them and encourage them. I did go on Sunday for sort of the trial to check that things were okay, that it would work out. And again, I wasn't feeling very excited about it, but actually I came away knowing that I'd missed it. I had missed the live worship, the live preaching, the sense of corporate worship, and my church family. And although there weren't many of us there on Sunday, it made me realise that sitting in the study, just me and Isaac, wasn't the way to do church. And it's been great. We've got an absolutely great team that have put together these online services for us for the year that we weren't allowed to meet. But as things do open up, if anyone's feeling apprehensive or a little bit nervous about the whole thing of going back on a Sunday, then talk to any of your Christian friends, your life group, and we can all pray about it and encourage each other, because especially with our great values, we need to be together and work together and love each other. So I just wanted to encourage people that are feeling a bit strange about returning to large group. Everything's been done absolutely spot on with regards to health and safety, the law, the rules and regulations and the guidance from the Baptist Union. So it's as safe as it possibly can be. And I think it'll just be absolutely fantastic when we can all get together and raise the roof back in our building. Thank you.
Now, I hope that has all been helpful to you. If you still have questions, please do contact the reception team and they will do their best to answer them, to put you at your ease. But just know that we cannot wait for you to rejoin us one Sunday, whether that's in the next couple of weeks or whether it's in the next couple of months. Whenever you are ready, we are ready as well. And a warm welcome awaits you whenever you come back, in an environment which will be as safe and as comfortable and as welcoming as we can make it. And we look forward to greeting you with a very warm but socially distant welcome home. God bless you, and we hope to see you very soon.